This is on for temporary orders. I do have proposed orders here. I do see confirmation of service. Does appear, do we have Levi Bondurant present?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
Can you take your hat off? Thank you. All right, so service was done. It appears I have a confirmation of service that was done on the 10th of August. We're now at the 7th of September. There was no response filed. So, Mr. Bondurant, what's going on?
Right now I'm looking to get an attorney, Your Honor. But things have been a little bit rough for me in the last month or so. So I've been just trying to piece things back together.
Ms. Bondurant, is there, I noticed that you referred to a restraining order. Is there a current one, or was that an old one that's lapsed, or is?
It's a current one.
So there's still one in place at this point?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And is that just for you, or does it include the children at all in that order?
It includes the children as well.
And when does that expire, or would it be set to expire?
So she ordered it to expire on August 21st of next year for me. And then he was told he could have supervised visits with the children, and he declined. And she said that he could do the video phone calls 30 minutes a day on that Family Wizard app, but I don't have the funds to pay for it. So he hasn't been in contact with the kids. And she said that that would be voided out per whatever happens in court with you.
Okay. All right. Well, here's where we're at. So, Mr. Bondurant, you have every right to get an attorney, but you were served and had plenty of time to respond to the petition with no response. I'm going to enter these temporary orders. So I do want to remind you that they are temporary orders. That means that they're not final. That means that they can be changed and can be revisited.
Sorry, I apologize. Can we at least ask that at least a phone call or some line of communication can be had here? Because I mean, this is my kids have gone over a month, and in 9 years, they've never spent more than a day away from their father, and we're going on over a month, and there's literally no grounds for zero communication with my children.
Can I ask why you turned down supervised visitation?
I'll give you a couple reasons. Number one, the biggest thing was there's a lot of gray area. There's been a lot of there was like a criminal issue there that spiked up. A lot of things going on Facebook. It literally looks like Mrs. Bondurant is after to try to get me into trouble. And right off the beginning, I wanted things to kind of balance themselves out a little bit, because I wanted to see when she first mentioned there being it wasn't the Family Wizard that she mentioned. It was there being supervised visits or communication over the phone. But I didn't want there to be like her jumping on the phone and then getting me into trouble, or like I was trying to source out the problem, what was going on there. Like if both of our priorities are for our kids, I know for a fact that my children would not be okay with going over a month without speaking to their father. I don't think that Mrs. Bondurant nor I have the funds at this moment to pay for the in court. I don't see where the harm is, as long as it's okay with Mrs. Bondurant to allow me to speak to the children. And she's not going to agree with where I have to reside. My kids would not. I'm still picking up all my stuff. She has the house, she has the car, she has the kids. I'm not going to put my kids in an unsafe environment. So I wouldn't want the visitation right now, but I would like to be able to speak to my children. And I don't understand why that's an issue.
Because she has a restraining order against you, Mr. Bondurant, and she would be the go-between. I'm assuming 8-year-olds don't have their own cell phones. Am I wrong?
They did have their own phones, but he didn't pay their cell phone bill, so they do not have a cell phone right now.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to allow phone contact through our Family Wizard. You can do phone contact through our Family Wizard free. So It can be set up that way. It also allows you to put any like important dates or anything in there, so he can still be in the loop on certain things. I'm also going to authorize, if you still are wanting it, professionally supervised contact, and that would be.
Your Honor, I would be okay with my mom doing the supervised visits, but Mr. Bondurant also has to be aware that all 3 kids are in sports, and we are at sports every day but Friday.
Are you okay, Mr. Bondurant, with her mother being the supervisor?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd have no problem with her being the go-between. She also is speaking as if I don't know that my kids have been in sports for the last 10 years.
Okay,
So
this is not the place to be like
It wasn't.
petty back and forth with each other. I'm not going to have that. That's not what we do. Okay.
Yes,
You
Your
didn't
Honor.
respond, Mr. Bondurant. You're lucky that I'm giving you anything because you didn't respond. You chose to do nothing for a month. And I understand you may have other things going on, but I would assume that your children are pretty important and just responding would have been to your benefit. So I'll allow the non-professional supervisor, Miss Bondurant. What is your mother's name?
Sherry Reed.
Mr. Bondurant, you know how to get in touch with Miss Reed. Mr. Bondurant, looks like he froze.
Yeah, he does. He is in contact with my mom quite a bit, actually. How long are these visits approved for? That way I can schedule it out in between, like with games and everything and dates with my mom.
Your Honor, I'd be completely okay with whenever Sherry's available, whenever the kids are available, whatever works for the family as a whole. Like even if it winds up being once every week or two in the temporary, I just want to be able to see or talk to my kids. That's the biggest piece here.
Well, phone contact can happen through Our Family Wizard. You both need to download that app.
I have it, Your Honor.
And utilize that. And then there's a way that you connect with each other on that app, and then that allows the contact to take place. And if you schedule times through that app to make those phone calls, then she can ensure the kids are the ones that have the phone for those contacts. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to allow 2 hours per visit, up to 2 visits per week, depending on schedule. So clearly, I think 3 kids I saw, so, and lots of calendars. So hopefully you can work together to allow that to happen at minimum once a week, but up to 2 times a week. There was a request for an evaluation and treatment. I'm going to reserve on that at this point. I do think it would probably be a good idea to have a guardian ad litem appointed in this case. And I don't have an order for that. They are standard forms, but I am going to appoint a guardian ad litem. Number 1 on the list, Amy Turnbull. And I will appoint her as a guardian ad litem. What she's going to do once we get this order. And so, Ms. Bondurant, since you were able to get these orders in, there's another order appointing a guardian ad litem. If you can get that sent in, and we'll get it signed and filled out. Ms. Turnbull will send packets of information to each one of you. Make sure she has your contact information, your address. Fill those packets out, return them to her, and then she'll do interviews with you and other folks in your lives. And we'll probably speak independently with the children, and we'll put a report together and some recommendations of how to work through this process.
Your Honor,
Right.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do I have to serve Mr. Bondurant the motion that you want me to do for the guardian ad litem?
Yes, but because I'm ordering it, I would just give him a copy. I don't need formal service the way that you would have to do that normally.
Okay, I was just asking because I don't have his address to be able to serve him anymore because he moved from the last known address that I had.
Okay, Mr. Bondurant, you're muted now because that noise was disturbing the record. So you have to unmute yourself again. Okay.
I have no idea what that noise is coming from, Your Honor. I apologize.
That's okay.
She give it to her mother, though, correct? And then just get passed along to me because I'd be seeing the kids anyways at some point. Would that not work?
That's fine. Does that work with you, Ms. Bondurant?
Yeah, well, I was talking about for either in like other paperwork that's going to be filed and turned in.
My hope would be that he would get his updated information to the GAL. And then, Mr. Bondurant, do you have an email address that you're willing to accept service in so you can get information from?
Yeah, that would be my first and last name at Hotmail. Mrs. Bondurant has that.
Okay, and you're willing to accept service on your email?
Specifically this or everything?
At this point, I'm asking for the GAL order.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
And if you're not willing to accept anything else via email, that's fine. You don't have to agree to that at this point.
Okay. Like I said, I would like to speak to an attorney, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
So I'll just say that for this GAL order, you can serve him that via email. And then, Mr. Bondurant, in order to ensure that you get served, you'll just need to make sure that your name and address is updated with the clerk's office. So she has the ability to get information to you and serve you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to enter these orders. Assuming you can get that GAL order in within the next week, then that can get that process started. And I'm going to set a review out for, I'm going to set it to October 25th, 2023. Okay. There's going to be a, and that'll be at 9:00 a.m. Ms. Bondurant, on that GAL order, there's going to be a section where there's a GAL initial review date. That's going to be that October 25th. That's going to be when the GAL comes back and says that, and hold on one second. And I'm going to reserve on fees at this time because I don't think I have, well, actually Ms. Bondurant's portion will be county paid and Mr. Bondurant's portion will be reserved at this point because I don't have any financial information. That'll be that review date. We'll see how things are going. We'll make sure that you both been in contact with the GAL, return the information that they've requested, and that the process is moving along. All right.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor. Yes. I also would not be opposed to Mr. Bondurant being able to go to the kids' game as long as there's no contact with them, if that makes sense. Like, he can watch their games, but as long as there's no contact with them before or after the game, because I know their sports is a big part.
Your Honor, that goes back to being that gray area that I'd be concerned about. I'd love to go to my kids' games, but being that Mrs. Bondurant would be there, that could theoretically put me in violation. I wouldn't feel comfortable with that at this time.
I can understand that. And so that is that is a gray area, because if for some reason a law enforcement officer sees the protection order and you're both at a game, even if you're some distance apart, if he's not, at least usually it's 1,000 feet apart from you, then that could be a violation and he could get arrested for that. Well, and I understand, I think that's a good intention, but I don't, I understand Mr. Bondurant's concern there. In that Our Family Wizard app, there is the free part of Our Family Wizard does have a calendar app that allows you to kind of upload your kids' schedules and stuff. And maybe if there's a game you can't get to or something, you can note that on the calendar and maybe he can attend a game that you're not at.
Also, there's a lot of ways to virtually, a lot of those games are virtual as well. So, I mean, you could probably post those videos or those links on the app, correct? As well. Yeah, you can message on that app. So, okay. All right. We'll see you back on October 25th, excuse me. Right, good luck to you both. We were here on the 24th and Ms. Knowles was present, it looks like, on that date. And the court ruled, and Mr. Kudlicek was to prepare the orders. I have looked through these. I don't know, Ms. Corey, are you on this case, Ms. Corey?
Yes, I am.
Did you see a copy of the proposed orders?
I did not.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go through and let's make sure. Let's see. Family Wizard is ordered for any communication. Sorry, since I didn't do the order, I'm just making sure that everything that's in the minutes is what we have reflected in the order here.
I had a question. My ex had her first visit on Friday, the first Friday of every month. I sent my daughter over there, and at 5, like we were supposed to, and then my daughter, I had to call the cops to go check on my daughter, and they had me come pick her up and bring her home. Do I send her back on the 3rd weekend? I don't want to break my parents' plan or mess it up or get in trouble. Do I send her back over there? Because her stepdad kicked her out and her mom was screaming and hollering at her, so I don't know what to do.
So explain to me a little bit more. If what time was the visitation supposed to be? From 5 to what?
She was supposed to go over there at 5 o'clock on Friday, and she since there was no school on Monday, so she wasn't supposed to. She was supposed to come back on Sunday, but since there's no school, it attached to her weekend. That's what I read. That's what I'm assuming. And so I was gonna have her come back at 5 o'clock on Monday, and I dropped her off at 5 o'clock on Friday, and like 6 or 6:30 on Friday, she had called me and said, "Call the cops," my daughter. And so I talked to the cop over the phone. They didn't wait for me to get there, but they told me to come get her. So I went and picked her up and brought her home.
Miss Corey, do you have any, I see that there was a lot of findings that the court made last week. Any insight onto, because that's clearly concerning.
I do not. I don't believe I was present last week during the appointment.
Oh, you just were appointed last week. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I just finished my intake papers and just sent them back to her. Like we just started on this.
Okay.
I just didn't want to break my parenting plan or mess nothing up or get in trouble in any way. So I was just trying, I called the clerks, I called the Longview Sheriff's Department, and they said it was up to my discretion, but I have to be able to prove or explain myself why I didn't send her back over there. It's, you know what I mean? So. And I got her glasses, I got her dentist appointment, and I got her in school. She's in school today. So.
Okay. All right. And did you get her enrolled in Kelso?
Yeah, she goes to school at Huntington. She's at school right now.
Perfect. Okay. Okay. So it looks like it was, so my notes, and obviously I wasn't at the hearing last week either. It looks like Commissioner Baldwin ruled that, looks like Miss Knowles was kind of left the hearing abruptly after kind of an outburst. She ordered that the child be enrolled in Kelso, that our family wizard be utilized for any communication. Visitation with mother the first and third weekends from Friday at 5 to Sunday at 5. Exchange at the Kelso Safeway parking lot, excuse me. Neither parent get out of the car. The restraining order was denied.
Yeah. And she put on a temporary parenting plan is what she did.
Made some decisions about the child's birthday, Christmas break. Okay, so this proposed plan says that she just is to not have any contact with the children. So looks like you probably wrote this plan before the order was entered last week, or the oral ruling was made last week. So
I'm okay with first and third as long as she's safe and she can, and she's able to be over there. I'm okay with that,
All right. So the third weekend, well, what's confusing is it says this upcoming weekend will not be a first or third weekend. So that doesn't make much sense. That's in the notes because that would be the first or third, since Friday was the first of the month. So
That was on the 24th, those, and
that was on the 24th. So she, on the 1st is when you took her. Thank you, Miss Corey. I was thinking it was the last week, the 31st. The 1st she went over and you got her back a few hours later is basically what happened. Okay.
Yeah, I dropped her off at 5 and like 6:30, I had to go pick her up from down the street at her friend's house.
Okay. Well, the next weekend then would be the 15th. And I guess because this order is completely different from what was entered, I'm going to need to, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draft after court this morning, a new temporary family law order and a new parenting plan that complies with the rulings made by Commissioner Baldwin on the 24th. I erroneously thought that this was submitted that matched up to what the ruling was, and this was clearly what you submitted before those rulings were made. So I'll ensure that those orders are entered. That will mean tomorrow at the latest, you should be able to come to the courthouse, second floor, go to the Superior Court Clerk's office and get a copy of those orders. Okay. And I appreciate that you've gotten your GAL stuff done. And I'm assuming, I don't know that. Hold on a second. You know what? It looks like Commissioner Baldwin was more proactive than I anticipated. And I'm scrolling through here and it appears as though she did enter a temporary parenting plan already. She drafted one. So I'm going to set your stuff away. Okay, you have that. It's a temporary parenting plan. It's not temporary orders, it's temporary parenting plan. So I will do, and she also did an order appointing the guardian ad litem, Miss Corey. So that's already been done as well. And it looks like that's all county pay. And then I don't know why are we on today? It says we're on for temporary orders, but a ruling was already made. I'm sorry. I sound like this is super confusing, but everything was already entered. So I don't know. And Miss Knowles not being here today is a little concerning. I'm gonna recycle and shred your orders that you proposed because we already got new ones entered. Next weekend would be Mom's Weekend. Obviously, it's your child's safety is first and foremost. You need to abide by the parenting plan, but obviously if there's safety concerns, there's safety concerns. So Miss Corey is going to be a great resource for you moving forward. So I'm glad you got your paperwork filled out. The next review date that I show for this case is the 25th of January, 2024. If there's any additional issues or concerns, then obviously you can bring it back prior to that. And like I said, I would utilize Miss Corey as a resource for any concerns. You understand the information she's trying to gather. So I think we're good until then, unless another issue arises, and then you can note it back up.
Okay.
All right. Sorry for it took us a long time to get back to where we started from, but
I'm trying to see my pants. I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. So.
That's okay. I appreciate that. So, Mr. Kudlicek, good luck. Thank you for being here, Miss Corey, and we'll see you back in January. Sure.
Any questions I can ask by the Corey, or any concerns or anything that comes up?
She can't give you any legal advice, but if there's certain concerns about things, I think she'll be happy to answer if she can, and she'll be happy to tell you that that's something that she can't answer if it's something that she can't answer. Okay. All right. Good luck. So, Ms. Hastings and Mr. Lovato are both here. This is on for a review hearing. This is the court ruled at the last hearing that dad was to have custody of the children in Alabama. Mom would get liberal phone contact and via or FaceTime video phone contact and substantial visits. And that today would be the day that we reviewed the proposed plan that would be submitted by one of the parties. And I didn't receive anything. So is there a proposed parenting plan that you're working on based on the orders of the court from the last hearing?
So I have tried to reach out to him to try to come up with a plan. Him and I we're not going to come and see eye to eye on anything, since I'm the one who took him to court since he decided to move to another state. And then for some reason I had custody of them for X amount of months, with him abandoning our children and then him getting them in the summer. And then all of a sudden now getting custody of them. So there's just been a lot going on. And I guess what I would be asking for until the DAL makes her ruling, I would want spring break. I'm actually flying out there next week to spend a couple days with my kids. But I would like spring break, every other holidays, summers, Christmas on the weeks that on the years that I don't have them on Christmas Day. I'd like them on Christmas Eve and a week of, because they get 2 weeks off, and I would like a week of theirs. And Brandon to help pay for the flights for the kids.
Okay. Mr. Lovato?
Yes, Your Honor. We did already kind of talk about this, and as far as spring break here it's only like a week long, which I didn't mind, but it's kind of short for them to fly out there and back. As far as the Christmas break this year, we agreed that it starts on the 17th when we'd fly out there, and she had them Christmas last year. I was going to have them Christmas this year, and we were going to fly back. I was going to come pick up the girls and fly back here on the 23rd. And then as far as the summer goes, then it was still going to be like the month and a half of the summer. And then everything else that was what we agreed.
Okay. So Ms. Hastings is, based on what he's saying, is that agreed, or is there more that you're requesting?
No, because the girls I would like them for the entire summers, because he had them this summer. I had them the whole school year. So I let them go there for summers, because we were all agreeing on him having the kids on summer and me getting the kids during the school year. But then some reason he flipped his switch. But I mean, that's all going to come out in text messages and everything with the GAL. But, and then now we're here. But I would like, because my kids are crying and wanting their mom. And so I need to see them as much as I possibly can see them at this point, because I have videos of them crying, calling me crying almost daily at this point. So I need to be able to see them as much as possible until there's a ruling. So I'm going to fly out there next week, and I just want to be able to pick them up from school when I get there. And then I will take them to school the days that I'm there next week, and until I fly back home. And then maybe like if I'm able to get flights sporadically throughout the rest of the year, just be able to like I guess coordinate with him and to make sure that it's okay, that he's not like busy or anything, and I'd be able to fly out there to see them. Like maybe I'm trying to do it like once a month so I can be able to see them until the ruling.
Okay, and he said the 17th through the 23rd, the kids would be here.
Yeah, so I would really like them to have at least them on Christmas Eve, because we do I would like to, so they can do opening presents with the family, with my family, and they'd be able to see my side of the family that they're used to every year being with my family for Christmas. And so this will be a really hard year for them if they can't be with family. They've already missed birthdays that they're really upset about of my nieces. And so I think if they could at least be here for Christmas Eve, and he can have them on Christmas Day. I mean, he can fly, or he has family here too. So he could do Christmas with his sister, his brother's kids. I just would really, really like to have my kids for at least Christmas Eve. And he can even have them I can have them for a couple hours during Christmas Eve, and then he can even come pick them up afterwards, after we're done with our family get together.
I'm not opposed to that, Your Honor. I haven't letting her have them for Christmas Eve for a while. It just comes to with flying back. It's going to be kind of hard during the holidays.
Okay. And the 17th is when you would be able to leave to come here after when their school break starts for this winter break.
Yes, the 17th is that Saturday after when their break starts.
Okay. So you could get them here, and then, okay. So here's what I'm going to do. The 17th. And if the parties are able to work together, at least, I don't want to set a time on the 17th if the flights are the flights and they don't land in Portland or Seattle until later in the evening. But I want the exchange to happen either if it's not during the middle of the night on the 17th, otherwise first thing in the morning on the 18th. Mom will have them through the 24th. Dad gets them morning of the 25th, 9 a.m. and then through the remainder of the winter break. Mom will get them for spring break. So from I don't know if there's early release on a Friday or what kind of flights, if there's if there's any direct flights or if there's anything like that. So either if it's early release Friday of spring break to the following Sunday, if not Saturday of spring break to the following Sunday. And then the first Monday after school lets out. So if school lets out on a Tuesday, then Dad would have them until the following Monday. And so the first Monday after school lets out, kids would be to Mom for summer break and returned 1 week prior to the start of school. That'll get us about a year. Hopefully this process doesn't take any longer than that. If we do get beyond that, then winter break of 2024, Dad would have children until 9 a.m. on December 25th. And Mom would have them until the Saturday before school returns. So it would be like the opposite. Dad gets first half of winter break, Mom gets second half. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Is one of you able to draft orders that reflect that and get them share amongst yourselves, signed off on, and to the court?
Yes, I can, Your Honor.
Okay. And let me see here. Ms. Height has been appointed as the guardian ad litem in this case and has only been on the case for a couple weeks now. Ms. Height, is that something that you would want to review before they file?
As long as it reflects what you have decided today, I'm fine with that, Your Honor. I do have a couple of very quick questions or comments.
Sure, go ahead.
First of all, I would like to make it clear to both parties that as a GAL, I do not make rulings. I make recommendations. They both mentioned something about my future rulings, and I want to make sure that's very clear to everyone. Also, I've received their intake packets, which I appreciate. I have received no payment from either party. That needs to be taken care of. And when I've spoken with both parties on the phone, we've had a good starting conversation, but there was some question about whether the children had actually been enrolled in school. I'd like to make sure that it sounds like that's happened. I would like to make sure from Dad that has occurred.
Yes, it has occurred. They all three are in school.
Thank you. That was unclear. So I appreciate that clarification. And that's really all I have that I wanted the court to be aware of today.
All right, I appreciate that. It looks like that on the GAL report, there isn't an interim report. There's just a final report that's set to January of 2024. Oh, and I guess I failed to state, so mom is, and I'm sorry, you said in a week or two you're flying out there?
Yes, next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. And Mr. Lovato, are you fine with when she arrives, she lets you know she can pick up the kids from school and kind of keep them with her during the time that she's there?
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. The only thing is all three girls start at almost exactly the same time, and one school to the other is like about 15-minute drive. And here, if they're more than 5 minutes late, it becomes an issue. So I mean, it could be that she could drop Bailey off here at the house because her bus picks her up at 6:40 here, and then the other two would be a little bit easier to drop off.
Okay, can I trust that the two of you can work together to make sure the kids are where they need to be when they need to be when she's visiting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like I appreciate your willingness to work together. And Ms. Hastings, it sounds like he has no problem with you being kind of the primary caretaker of them during your visit, as long as and maybe you can work together to make sure that the kids getting to different schools kind of at different times, that you can both make that happen. Please, Ms. Hastings, I appreciate that you're willing to put together the orders. Make sure that Mr. Lovato sees copies of those. Mr. Lovato, are you willing to review those by way email, like if she serves you via email?
Yes, I've already previously stated that email's fine.
Okay, so Ms. Hastings, if you want to just send copies of what you're going to file with the court to Mr. Lovato so he has a chance to review those. And Mr. Lovato, if you can, actually, you know what I'll do? Let's set this over to the 27th. Ms. Hastings, you'll be back from your trip at that point?
Yes.
And you're leaving on the 12th?
Correct.
Okay, so I can't set it. I don't want to set it for next Wednesday. So we'll review on the 27th just to make sure that orders are in and that there's no concerns or further questions with those orders.
Okay. And then I
Sound
also
good?
have a question about the payment for the jail. Is there any way I could get maybe assistance and help for that, at least for half of it? Right now I'm unemployed. I just had a baby, so I am not back to work for a while. So financial stuff is like a little hard to be able to pay us $750.
I do notice that you did a declaration about public assistance and your financial status. Let me see here. So I have it does list private pay 25% by petitioner, 75% by respondent. I will authorize the 25% of the petitioner to be paid by county pay at this point in time, and we can review that later.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good luck to you both.
Thank you.
Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, good morning. I do have a temporary family law order that was proposed, looks like by Mr. Tafoya. Just so the parties know, this is different than a parenting plan. This is kind of involves the other stuff besides just the children. Ms. Tafoya, did you see a copy of that proposed temporary family law order?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And we're here to get temporary orders entered. First, let's start with non-kid related stuff. So he's proposing that, looks like that you would be the primary care provider of the children, that there's no spousal support request, that was there not a family home that the parties lived in?
No, we rented an apartment.
So there's no issue with that he possess the property that's in his possession now, you possess the property that's in your possession now. And then he also included a 2010 Ford Focus as property for him. I don't know if there's a vehicle that you have that.
Yes, I have a Honda Odyssey van, 2006.
Okay, and is that something that you purchased together or that was purchased prior to?
I purchased it, but while we were married.
Okay. And Mr. Tafoya, any concerns with her having and retaining possession of that Honda Odyssey during the pendency of this?
Yeah, that's not under my name at all anyway.
Okay. All right, so I'm just going to include that there. That you're essentially each responsible for your own household expenses since you are now living apart, that any debt that you incur moving forward would be your own responsibility. Indicates that are the children covered by state coverage for insurance at this point? Okay, so and then that I'm assuming Ms. Tafoya, that you're kind of in control of that and managing that at this point?
Yes.
Okay. That there's no attorney's fees or other costs, that there's no request for a restraining order. And then the other part is he indicated that is working an overnight schedule and relying on his current domestic partner, Megan House, to assist in childcare during the evening hours and times when he's sleeping, and allow the court to ask the court to allow Megan House to assist in childcare despite any disputes that the petitioner tries to bring forward. So that may be, there may be some comments on that, Ms. Tafoya. What's your position there?
My dispute isn't with her watching the kids, it's with anybody watching the kids for 19 hours a day. He would only be with the kids from 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. while he's awake.
Mr. Tafoya?
I do have a different schedule now. I actually go to bed at 5:30 now. So that gives me an extra 2 hours with the kids. And the duration of time that the kids will be awake for will only be 4 hours after I go to bed. So yes, there will be sometimes I'm passing the torch to my domestic partner, but I will also be getting up for the children's bedtime to read them stories, get them tucked in, and I will go back to bed for the rest of my remainder of time before I have to go to work. And I get home.
You were down in the Clark County, Vancouver area, is that?
Correct.
And Ms. Tafoya, you're in Cowlitz County, Longview, Kelso area?
And
Okay.
I haven't noted that the kids have never been away from me a day in their life. And I mean, they've never been in the care of anyone besides me. He's never had them for longer than 3 hours without me there.
And Mr. Tafoya, can you give me just your work schedule? And is it the same every week?
It is the same every week. It's recently just been changed from Monday through Friday to Tuesday through Saturday. So that gives me a whole extra day in the weekdays to be able to facilitate whatever is going on school scheduling wise. But I work just recently, the new changes also occurred with the timing. I'll work at 1 a.m. till 9:30, so I'll be home at 10.
1:30 to, I'm sorry, did you say 9 a.m.?
9:30.
9:30, 1:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Okay. Tuesday through Saturday.
There are also 2 other teenagers here that are also willing and 100% wanting to participate in childcare because Wyatt especially is looking for earning extra allowance, and he's got a lot of leadership skills. He goes to 3 different sports throughout the year and has a lot of opportunity to help the kids grow in different ways as well.
The kids in, I noticed I'm assuming there's twins.
Yeah.
All right. And then, one older child and then two younger twins. Is the oldest, the 4-year-old, enrolled in any kindergarten, preschool?
She starts Head Start next on Monday or Tuesday next week. Her pediatrician's recommendation. I had already enrolled her in it, but at her 4-year well child check, he said that if I didn't already have her enrolled, that he was going to strongly recommend that I have her enrolled due to her speech. And so she is enrolled. She will start either Monday or Tuesday at LCC Head Start, Monday through Friday, 8 to 2. And then as soon as the twins turn 3 on September 21st, they can start there as well. But they have to be 3, so they're on the wait list until their 3rd birthday.
And would the schedule be the same for them, or it would be different?
We're hoping to have the same schedule if a spot opens up for that for a full day.
Okay.
And then I have applied for employment there, and so I would be with them as well.
If I may make a comment about the schooling thing.
Sure.
I'm absolutely supportive of the children going to school. I just wish I would have been informed. As the father, I feel like I should have been there, for the pediatrician appointment for when that recommendation got dropped. She knows I want to be there for every possible health thing, doctor appointment, every visit, every dental thing. And apparently since this move out separation, she decided not to inform me of any of the appointments.
Okay.
I did not inform him of things because when I tried to talk to him about things, he said that we are not discussing this. It will be discussed in court. So from that point forward, I have not discussed anything with him. He has not asked about how Riker's feeding clinic has gone, asked for those appointments, any of that information. If he was to ask when appointments were, I would gladly tell him. But I'm not going to go out of my way to tell him so he can tell me that it's going to be discussed in court.
All right.
Specific comment for speaking in court. All right.
I don't need to know.
Sure.
These are difficult situations, and all right. I'm going to enter the temporary order, but I'm going to reserve on section 14.
Yeah.
As far as parenting plan. Sorry, did you have something else, Ms. Tafoya?
Yes, I had submitted a counter parenting plan thing as well.
I didn't get a parenting plan from either of you. I guess I'll ask. Because actually, I take that back. You submitted a proposed parenting plan, but not one that like I can sign off on, if that makes sense.
I did the same one that he did.
Yes. So here's the thing. Neither one of you are asserting any what we call 191 factors, and that's just a reference to a portion of a statute that says that there's domestic violence, there's neglect, there's drug or alcohol issues. So neither one of you are saying that against each other. Great. The biggest and so generally speaking, at least my perspective is, okay, then we're looking at a 50-50 parenting plan at that point, assuming that there's not other issues involved. Here, there's other issues. So because one child is on the verge of entering school, Head Start, I know it's kind of like pre-kindergarten, but it's a program. And then next year, you're going to have somebody, a young one that's in school. You're living in 2 separate counties. A 50-50 parenting plan doesn't work for that. It just doesn't, because you can't have a kid going to one school half the year and a different school the other half the year. Additionally, it sounds like there's some other potentially medical issues and established doctors and stuff that are here locally. And so I'm going to take all of that into consideration. So there is no 191 factors. That's great. My hope is that the parties can work together. There are parenting apps. So there's a parenting app called Talking Parents, and there's Our Family Wizard. Both have free versions. They have also upgraded versions that you can pay for. I don't know that you need those, but the Our Family Wizard does have a calendar app, so you can inform the other party of what's going on a calendar. Like,
Upcoming appointments and
upcoming doctor's appointments. They're probably a little too young for any kind of sporting activities, but this one has a soccer game on this day, that kind of stuff. You can just, so it's a mutual place that you can work together with. So I would recommend that. I'm not ordering you to communicate that way because it seems like even though there may be a misunderstanding of okay, this will be decided in court. I'm not sensing that you guys cannot communicate with each other.
Yeah.
So I'm going to order that you, both parties, you have joint decision making for any school or educational issues, healthcare, and so I'm going to order that be joint. There's no reason to limit one party or the other from those decisions. That means if there's, and these are non-emergent. So if one of the children is with one parent and God forbid something happens and you need to run to the emergency room, you don't have to stop and call the other parent before doing that, right? So any non-emergent healthcare. So, Junior needs to get an appointment because, his toothaches seem, worse than regular teething or whatever it is. And you're scheduling something out, the other person needs to be in the loop on all that. Again, that's things you can communicate with each other through the Our Family Wizard app or simply just by communicating. And I know, I guess mom is indicating that there may be some issues with participation and cooperation in decision making. I'm gonna hope that you can do that. And I do want to appoint a guardian ad litem. Guardian ad litem's job is to give the court some insight into the family dynamics and what's going on with the kids, what's going on with each family, sort of as they start working independently of each other, and make any recommendations for services or other things that could be utilized by the family. Okay. So we'll get Ann Height, we'll appoint her as the guardian ad litem in this case. Thank you, Ms. Cutter. Given the schooling and the issues with the schooling, and I guess I'm going to note for the record, there really is no reason to limit dad other than distance, and schooling is really kind of a major issue. So I'm going to order that dad have, are you in a situation when you get off work at 9:30 in the morning that you could go pick your kids up? Absolutely. On Saturdays?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, and she's proposing the Woodland Safeway as an exchange point. Does that still work for both parties?
That's what I had requested.
I had requested the picking up parent to be the one to drive out to the location to grab the kids. If I'm always driving out to Woodland, even for dropping off of the children, it puts a little bit of a financial burden on me. It's not like I can't swing it, but if we could arrange different arrangements, I would appreciate that.
That's halfway. So either way, one of us would have to drive.
Okay. Okay, that works. Yeah. You're
okay.
Right.
So Woodland Safeway, if that is a pretty good halfway point. We use that location a lot, I guess, in parenting plans where someone's down in the Vancouver area and we have parties up here. So we'll have a meeting at the Woodland Safeway. And I think if I remember correctly in reading your declarations, you work in Portland. Is that correct, Mr. Tafoya? I work at IKEA. Okay. And so for you to get from there, getting off at 9:30 is 10:30 or 10:15. What time do you think to get to Woodland Safeway?
Yeah, probably at 10:15, probably at the latest.
All right. So dad will have visitation from 10:15 on Saturdays to Monday is your new day off now. So and they start, did you say 8 a.m. for Head Start, 8 to 2?
Yes, 8 to 2.
So would 7:30 at the Woodland Safeway be too late? Is 7:15 better?
7:15 to make sure that I could get over. Yeah. Okay.
So 10:15 a.m. Saturday to 7:15 a.m. on Monday. The other option I have is if you, Mr. Tafoya, if you want to take the children all the way to Head Start on Mondays, but I'm assuming the middle point would work better.
I don't mind dropping off all the way at Head Start for Mondays, just because, that whole school thing, like, hey, have a nice day at school, and actually dropping them off at the school would be a nice thing, but that's just kind of how my heart wants that to be,
Any problem with that, Ms. Tafoya?
No, the twins do not start yet, so I could meet him there to grab the twins on until they start.
That's great. So we'll say, so 10:15 on Saturday AM on Saturdays to 8 AM drop off at Head Start. And you know where that is, Mr. Tafoya, by
I
the
can give
LCC.
him the information that
Perfect.
and all that.
And then mom will just pick up the younger kids there until they hopefully are in the same program. And then that'll give you an opportunity to drop the kids off at school on Monday morning so they can start their week. I'm going to have that be the first, third, and fifth weekends of every month. So, when's the last time you were able to see the kids, Mr. Tafoya?
Do you mean have them like by myself? Because I've never had the opportunity to really have my kids by myself.
But when's the last time you actually were able to see them, like in person?
I believe 2 weekends ago.
Okay.
I was here on the 27th of August, visiting them.
Okay. All right. So in order to keep this consistent, and I'm doing the first, third, and fifth because that's more visitation than the second and fourth weekends. That'll give you more opportunity and it works out to be more time with them all together. So that'll start Saturday the 16th. In the meantime, if I don't know, with two-year-olds and a 4-year-old, if they care about FaceTime or any kind of Skype visitation, if they have attention spans for that or like that.
We've been facilitating that, and that's been an ongoing thing since we split 18 months ago.
Okay.
When I'm at my parents' house, visit them. Yes.
Okay. So I'd like that to keep happening so dad can have liberal phone and FaceTime contact with them. This plan will start the 16th. They'll have them the 16th through the 18th. And then again, the 30th through the 2nd, and then it'll just go from there. Okay. So that's it's defined by the first Friday of the month that's numbered for that month. So looking at September calendar, the 1st of September was a Friday. So that would be the first, then the first weekend of the month, then the 15th would be the 3rd, and the 29th would be the 5th. Make sense? If it doesn't have, if there's no 5th weekend, then you just go back to the first week of the next month.
Okay. So can I ask for clarification on this really quick?
Sure.
So you said it was the 30th for September. So then it would be the following weekend as well, because that's the first weekend of October, the 6th or the 7th. Is that how that works? I'm just wanting to make sure that I'm
sorry. Let me look at my calendar here. No, that's okay. I want us to be on the same page. So the first weekend would be the 7th of October.
Okay. So it'd be 2 weekends in a row. I just want to make sure that, I just want to make sure that we're doing this correctly and everything. Okay.
And then there wouldn't be a 5th in October, but it would work out that it would be every other week, because then on the 4th of November would be the first weekend in that month. Okay. I'm going to set an interim. Let's see. I'm going to set an interim GAL review for. Does October 4th work for everybody?
I can make that.
Yes. All right, October 4th, 2023 at 9 a.m. And
Your Honor, this is a clerk. Should that be a Thursday?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Rather than a
I think
Wednesday?
we're on Wednesday still. October 5th. Does that work for everybody? Thursday the 5th?
Make the 5th work.
Sorry. All right. Thank you. So Thursday, October 5th, 9 o'clock a.m. That'll be the interim GAL review. And also, Ms. Tafoya, since you're the local one, if you could file a parenting plan that reflects the rulings that are made today, and a GAL, I'm going to file the GAL appointment myself on behalf of the both of you, just indicating that interim report that Ann Height's been appointed, and put some dates in there. There will be a final report due date, which usually we do 128 days out. So that would put us to January 11th at 9 a.m. As for extended, like, since there isn't really winter break, I guess, for kids, there is winter break, but given their ages, I know that sorry, I'm going back and forth here on paperwork, trying to get as much of this done for you folks as I can, so we don't have to come back on any of this. Obviously you can always come back to the court if there's any issues, but I don't want you to be like, oh, who gets, Thanksgiving or who gets Christmas? Let's try to get that worked out at this point.
And he has never done the holidays with the kids. And last Christmas, he just asked for like the weekend after Christmas to do a dinner thing with his mom, and then they canceled it. So, but he's never done Christmases or anything with them. And Christmas is huge for my family.
I definitely want to work with Natasha on the really important days to her and her family. 4th of July also being another really big one for her. But I'm also really fine with, as long as I get a weekend with them for those big events. I don't really care about, I would love them for specifically Thanksgiving, or not 4th of July, Thanksgiving, like the week after Thanksgiving. And their birthdays, I understand, are also really important to Natasha because she kind of goes really big and crazy for them. I like to do a little bit something smaller, a little bit more low key for them. The week after Christmas as well would be appreciated.
Okay. So this is what she's proposed. So she's proposed you get Father's Day, she gets Mother's Day. That 4th of July, if it falls on a weekend or your weekend, that she would get them from 8 a.m. on the 4th to 8 a.m. on the 5th. That Christmas, she gets them from the 24th at 8 a.m. to the 26th at 8 a.m. So that would allow for you to have, let me see where it would fit in December here. December, you would get the 2nd through the 4th, the 16th through the 18th, and then you would get them the 30th through the 1st. Does that work?
That works.
And I guess if there's additional time, that if you have some time off work and are around, there's nothing that says, Ms. Tafoya, if you want to give him the kids for an extra couple days, if you agree upon that, that's okay. If you want to expand the plan, you just can't give less than the plan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if since he's willing to give you all of the Christmas, if you want to give him the kids earlier, or maybe on the 26th for a few extra days through the rest of that holiday break, great. I'd love to see that if that can work out. But I'll adopt basically your proposed is for the holidays. And then she does outline the birthdays. So obviously I only see one child listed on the birthdays. Am I miss? Oh, no.
I put Knox and Riker
On the next page. Sorry. Okay. So she has your birthday, Mr. Tafoya, that you get the kids on your birthday. She has her getting Riker and Knox on their birthday, and her having the children on, I don't know who Justice is. Is that one of the
that's our 4-year-old.
4-year-old Justice's birthday? She has Easter Sunday, or the evening of Saturday on Easter to the morning of Sunday on Easter. And she has Halloween. Let me see. Is that Halloween I think that's in the middle of the week.
Yes, it is.
Here. So hopefully we don't have to worry about next year, but she has Halloween. And then as I said, you get your birthday with them. She gets her birthday with them. And then Hartley's birthday as well. Any concerns with any of those? Okay.
As long as there's a verbal communication, am I allowed to attend to the Halloween day? because it's only kind of like one day of the week. You know, it's not really like, oh, you get to have them next weekend for a post Halloween type of thing.
On Halloween, the last couple Halloweens, he's came to Longview and went trick-or-treating with me and the kids, and I have no problem if he wants to come and go trick-or-treating with the kids, but I ask that it just be him. I'm not having anybody join because it's for the kids.
That fair?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. I appreciate the two of you working together. So yeah, if you can attend the Halloween, and it's my favorite holiday. So I especially with little ones that you get to dress up, that's probably a great thing to be able to be a part of.
That's why.
Yeah. And then I'll do the GAL report with that interim review of October 5th and a final review of January 11th. I'll get that entered today. You can get copies of that through the clerk's office if you'd like. Miss Height will then send packets to you for you to fill out and return. And that once you get those returned to her, that's when she starts working on everything. She will be a good resource for you. She can't give you legal advice, but if there's any questions or concerns that you have about issues that arise during this process, she's a good resource, and she'll tell you that if she can't answer something, but she'll be happy to answer if she can. On the 5th of October, hopefully we'll have those parenting plans or the parenting plan to enter on that date. If Mr. Tafoya, you get a copy of that and you're like, yep, this is exactly what we agreed to, and you want to sign off on that and get it back to Ms. Tafoya, she can file that, and we don't have to review that part on the 5th. We'll just review the GAL portion. I am going to do a 50-50 on the GAL costs, and I will make the petitioner's portion, making notes for myself. Petitioner's portion will be county pay, and respondent's portion will be private pay. So that will be part of the process, and you'll get information about that from Miss Height. All right.
And one question that I did have is,
Sure.
I let him do the video visits with the kids. Can I have video visits with them when he has them? Because this will be the first time that they've ever been away from me. And there's a lot of separation anxiety.
I totally understand that. I don't think that that's an unreasonable request. But I guess I don't want it to be so frequent that it interferes with his visitation. But I don't think if there's a 5 to 10 minute phone call or video call with the kids and mom Saturday evening, maybe Sunday evening or afternoon, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yes.
I'm absolutely willing to do every day that she wants to video chat with the children. I also ask that, the same obviously be returned. Like if I want to video chat during the week, if it's every day, if I'm allowed to, can I also have every day? Because there's been some occasions where I've tried to video chat and not gotten any response.
Ms. Tafoya?
Yes, it's just been really busy, and it hasn't been scheduled ahead of time, and it wasn't something that was, but now if we know that it's going to be, I will make sure that the kids are available. Absolutely.
Is there a time that works best for both of you? Like if we say, I don't know what the bedtimes are for these kids, but
if he's laying down at 5, we could do 4:30.
4:30, 3, anytime and within 3 to 4.
Between 3 and 5, if we do something like that window in case something comes up on either end.
Do you want me to set a time, or do you feel like you can work with each other to do that within that window every day?
I think we can do together.
Okay, perfect. And if you want, if you come to an agreement or you find that a specific time works and you want to add that into the parenting plan, feel free to do that. If you'd rather leave it kind of just a window of time, that's fine as well.
Okay.
All right. I wish you the best of luck. We'll have you back on the 5th. Yes, Mr. Tafoya?
Yeah, one last thing. If I can work with IKEA to work with my schedule a little bit, I might be able to get 4 10-hour shifts instead of 5 8-hour shifts. And my goal would be to have a Tuesday through Friday schedule if that happened, which would allow me to be able to pick up the kids on Friday if I'm allowed to. Is there a way that we could make a future potential addendum to the parenting plan so I can pick them up Friday through Monday instead of Saturday through Monday?
This this is only a temporary parenting plan. So that means that there's room for it to change based on different factors. So if that's something that you anticipate happening and would be a permanent change, then that can definitely be discussed.
I'll
Okay.
start working on that with IKEA right now.
Perfect. All right. Well, it was nice meeting you both. Have a good luck, and we'll see you back on the 5th.
Thank you. Have a good one.
I'm present.
All right. Good morning. How are you?
Mr.
I'm
Gilbert,
doing
do you
great.
have
I have
anything in record?
Wait, too many people talking at once. Sorry.
So I have an ultrasound at 10:45. I just want to, I know we only have one thing scheduled to discuss, which was the paternity test. And I just asked that since he wanted that he pay for that, and I do whatever steps necessary to get that done and over with.
Okay, there is a motion for DNA testing. Sounds like you're not objecting to that. Is that correct?
No, as long as he pays for it. And I also just want to make a note that the last 3 times we've been in court, there has been no, he's had an attorney present for a self-represented docket, and she has not filed a notice of appearance on any of those occasions. And I see that she is present as well today again, so.
For the record, I'm a limited licensed legal technician. I assessed pro se's, and so I don't file a notice of appearance. So that's why you don't have that. But for the record, you are supposed to serve us because we assist him, and we have yet to receive any documents from you. We know you filed documents, but we don't have access to all those.
I haven't been given any information where to give those papers.
You can email them to us, and we would like to email you. It would make things easier. And additionally, besides the DNA, because of the false accusations and the protective order, Mr. Gilbert has not had any visitation. We have responded to her motion, and we would like to get some visitation going since he's not seen his child in more than 5 months.
That's not on, I haven't been served with any of those propositions yet.
Yes, you have.
Hold on. I don't need that information. Okay. One moment.
There was a case number that Detective Adam Surface has submitted his report finally to. It's case number L23. And that was part of what I was waiting for. I know that there was only a temporary order, and I've tried to reach out to Mr. Gilbert via email and text message, and he hasn't responded. So there's no, I've tried to make contact with him, but there hasn't been any response from him as far as anything goes. And yeah, I don't have the email to send this other lady. I'm not sure what her name is, any documents, so.
So I'm bringing in the other, like, it looks like there's a protection order. And that was.
Actually, my witness didn't show up, and so that order was dropped after the
original. I'm not asking you for any information at this point. Okay. So just I asked for a moment. So please give me a moment here. All right. So on July 3rd, it looks like that was denied and dismissed. So that is not in play anymore. I would agree. I don't know how you would know to serve anyone other than Mr. Gilbert based on the information that they filed. There was not a finding of domestic violence in that restraining order. I see that. The motion for genetic testing, I don't think any orders were provided. So I don't have any orders to grant that genetic testing, but it sounds like there's no objection to that. Mr. Gilbert can, at this point, I'll order that he pay for that testing. So I'll grant that request. I will need an order for me to sign to get that started. Mr. Gilbert, are you able to prepare that order?
Yes. And for the future, she can message me or email me, but she only asks that I take a counseling session with her. I don't have, I mean, that's just, wasn't pertaining to me seeing my daughter or anything else. It's just that I take a counseling session with her. I don't really want to.
Just so that we could have a third party present and discuss any, potential conflicts before there's anything set in motion in court.
Okay. Well, so normally we have a local court rule in place at this point that refers cases that there aren't domestic violence issues in, and even though there's some 191 factors alleged, I don't know if the parties wanted to attempt mediation at this point in time.
Yeah.
I definitely want mediation. Yeah.
So you're both willing to attempt mediation at this point? Okay. So what I'd like to do, Mr. Gilbert, have you had any visitation at all with your child?
No.
And Ms. Gilbert, what's your position on Mr. Gilbert having, Ms. Drake, what's your position with Mr. Gilbert having any visitation in the interim?
I definitely want it to be supervised and video recorded if possible. I don't feel comfortable alone with him, and I believe that somebody who's actually licensed would be the best bet. At this point, he knows where we're living. He owns the house that we're living in right now. Like I said, there's been no contact at all by him. That's if he's willing to do supervised visitation with it being video recorded, that would be the best bet. I think our daughter probably won't even recognize him. I mean, when he was living with us, he barely seen her. So
it's not, I saw her every day. I worked. I mean, that's all I did was work, and I came home. But that's
usually he'd come in like right before.
Hold on, Ms. Drake. We're not interrupting people, okay? Mr. Gilbert?
The last 5 months have been just because of the restraining over the protective order she filed against me. And since then, I haven't wanted to communicate with her because I don't want that kind of stuff in my life where she's gonna just where she can just say or do whatever she wants to me and take my house and my child and everything from me again. So I'm fine with supervised visits, but I prefer it to be her mom, and I don't know why it would need to be video recorded when her family would all be there.
At this point, I'm on the border of, I've been harassed by my mom throughout this whole thing. And so I'm not comfortable with my mom being a part of any of this right now.
Okay, Donna.
What about your Aunt Donna or your grandmother?
No, I would be okay with my Aunt Cheryl and Jim on my dad's side. If she would be willing to do that. But like I said, I'd rather have somebody who is actually qualified.
Mr. Gilbert, do you know her Aunt Cheryl and Uncle Jim?
Barely, and I don't think I'd be comfortable going all the way out there. Like I said, her grandma lives right there. Her mom and her aunt, they're all trustworthy people. I mean, they all want to be a part of our daughter's life too. She's just trying to withhold everybody from the child.
I don't have a relationship with that side of my family, but I do with my father's side, so that would be better.
Are there any other third party friends or family friends that either party would be comfortable with?
Yes, I know she has more uncles on her mom's side, but I don't know. She's like I said, I don't know why it has to be that uncle, but like she knows her whole family, so I don't know why she's acting like that. I don't know what I don't know what else we can do. I mean,
Your Honor, may I speak? I actually have a declaration. This is Veronica's mother.
No, you may not.
Be okay with family focus here in Vancouver.
yeah,
Your Honor, what about family focus in Vancouver as the supervised? I believe they're open 7 days a week, but it would be in Vancouver.
At this point, it sounds like probably I don't like it, but it may be best that it be a professionally supervised visitation. Family focus is fine. We also have Miss Fellows, there's a local one. It's one of the only ones locally though. So sometimes it can take a long time to get visitation set up through there. So if there's a better option in Vancouver, given, I guess, where Miss Drake is. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do there's a mediation referral form. So we're going to get this referred over to mediation because both parties are in agreement to do that mediation. In the interim, I'm going to authorize Dad to have up to 4 hours a week of supervised visitation. Probably the best thing is going to be to I'm going to ask that the parties download the Our Family Wizard app and work on calendaring those. Miss Drake, I am authorizing up to 4 hours a week. So that means he gets up to 4 hours a week. So if you may have to change some scheduling things, you can't just say, oh, those times don't work for me. You don't get visitation. That doesn't work that way. Okay. So you're going to have to work together. And if you work through the app, all of that is kind of kept track of and recorded. There's also a calendar option on that app. So you can upload dates and times that work for you and get it scheduled. Also, if you work through Family Focus, or I'm sorry, the name escapes me of the local facility. I don't know why I can't think of it. But they will help work between the two parties to try to schedule, because obviously you're working through them.
Okay.
Connecting Families. Sorry, that's the local organization. I'm sorry. So Connecting Families visitation is local. There's also Parents Place. I don't know if they still do supervised visitation, but there's a few different options. And they are also willing to work with you on your scheduling your time.
Okay.
Yes, Miss Drake.
I haven't asked for any kind of support. I've been paying for everything on my own as far as our daughter since she's been born. If I do end up having to go to Vancouver, I'm pregnant and I'm working minimal hours right now just to be able to pay the bills. I don't know if something can be arranged for gas compensation to get there.
I don't have any financial information from either party other than you did enter a motion for waiver fees and you did do a declaration of your financial status. I can't just authorize money from somewhere for that, but if the parties as you start filing your additional information that's necessary to move this case forward, your financial declarations, and I can get an idea of where we're at, then the court can look at child support. So that would be part of the next steps. So and ideally, if both parties live here locally, if we can get something set up locally, that'd probably be in everybody's benefit, because driving to Vancouver several times a week can be, especially if everybody is leaving here to go down there. So I would suggest you try up here first and then move.
I live in Vancouver, but
okay.
She's taking my house over, so she lives rent free. I mean, it's been 5 months.
I pay the bills here, but I'm unable to pay the mortgage, which he refuses to pay and communicate with me about. So That's not for the support though. That's for
Yeah, this is a parenting plan action, so I don't have anything, I really don't have any information about any of that. So, so I'll get the mediation referral. I will enter that. You'll get contacted by mediation clinic. If you don't hear from them within a week, I would contact them yourselves and let them know that you are wanting to set up your mediation. They will go through everything with you. And then depending on how you come out the other end of that, they'll either send you back to court, and then we'll start entering more kind of more comprehensive temporary orders. And if you resolve it, then they will assist you in entering those plans with the court.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm going to set a review just to ensure that, actually, no, but when we refer to mediation, we don't set reviews at this point. I will do that mediation paperwork for you and get it signed and filed today.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
And I'm also going to just so you're aware, I'm going to do a bench order, ordering our family wizard in the 4 hours of visitation supervised a week. So that's, at least there's a record of my ruling today, and I'll enter that today as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck.